Welcome to this month's Friends You Keep. As they say, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And at Erin Wellness, we believe that sustainable health and wellness is an accumulation of 5 pillars: the thoughts you think, the friends you keep, daily movement, nutrition, and lastly, supplementation. So each month we feature guests doing exceptional things that will hopefully inspire you to step into all you are destined to be. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's Friends You Keep. I'm so excited to have Jules Gorham here with me today. Hello, Jules.
Hello.
Jules Gorham started her career in the NHP industry in 2010, coming from a food background. She quickly discovered her particular interest in understanding of compliance laws, processes, and policies. As a hardworking young mother, love that, she quickly built up her professional life, taking on roles of general manager for Canada and Global Director of Compliance and Risk for NHP, which is Natural Health Product Direct Selling Company, for a Natural Health Product Direct Selling Company. In early 2023, Jules made the decision to focus her attention on Canada, joining the Canadian Health Food Association, so CHFA, as Director of Regulatory Affairs and Policy. She's a spokesperson for CHFA in Quebec, where she lives, works, and plays, and is the lead on the nationwide Save Our Supplements campaign. So SOS, you probably have seen me posting on this as well. She lives by some work and all play motto, and throughout the years also stood on the top steps of many podiums in triathlon and cycling. She believes we should all be feminists and is leading the charge on Health Canada's discriminatory natural health product reform. There you go. Thank you, Jules, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so giddy. I'm just so stoked.
So excited. Thank you. We've had a big week this week with CHFA. So I'm super excited that you can help us kind of unpack it and understand it. I get lots of messages from people who are like, what's going on? So you are the person that we really want to hear from.
Oh, thank you. I'll try to answer all the questions and keep it simple and give some explanations. But yeah, it's been a week. It's been a good week. I think we all, every single person who hears this, give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a high five. The woman in your life who takes NHPs, who buys your NHPs, give her a high five. It's been a week of wins. It's been a week of moving the needle. And yeah, it's been a good one. I'm getting low on brain power, but I'm happy to be here. So thanks for having me. I love chatting with you.
I know it's Friday, so we're good. We only have. Yeah. So can you tell me, let's talk about your journey. What took you to where you are today with Health Canada? And with CHFA.
With CHFA, yeah. So I've always pretty much been. I was a legitimate, like what we would call like a real dork. Like I call myself a nutrition geek, like self-proclaimed total nutrition geek, and I have been my whole life. I had a mother who made yogurt for us because we needed probiotics, and she didn't like what was on the shelf, and we weren't allowed to eat cereals and all that. Like I had a mother who was really looking back, she probably had some, eating disorder issues playing into that. But she really, really kind of gave me or let me cultivate this, from an early age, almost like a curiosity, if not borderline obsession with food science. What does our body do with the food that we give it? And of course, food includes a whole bunch of things, and also NHPs in a large sense, and supplements and sports nutrition and all that. So I had this curiosity from being a child. I studied food, studied nutrition, and it just brought me to a journey that started years ago, my own health journey. And it just brought me to a place where my appreciation for what we consider to be NHPs, natural health products here in Canada, dietary supplements, if anyone's listening from the States, it brought me to a place of really, truly appreciating everything that we can do to properly fuel our bodies. I believe we should all wake up feeling like peak fitness, peak awareness every single day. And, the fact that most people find that, in a cup of coffee is amazing. I love my coffee. But there's so many ways that we can ensure that our body just feels good and it's working good for us. And I think when you give your body the best, you can get the best out of it, regardless of the body you have. We all have one. And it's been this lifetime real like curiosity and obsession with just like, let's give ourselves the best of the best so that we can be the best humans for the world, and we can offer our best to the world and to our kids and to our spouses and our girlfriends and our, yeah, it's just comes from there. It's a deeply rooted obsession with just wanting everyone to be like, on the ball all the time. And we can do that. We can do that. So
Love
yeah.
it. Well, that's very aligned with me, myself, and I. I agree with that.
Yes, that's true.
Try to spread that message as much as possible. So, with the natural health industry, we do have a regulatory body. And when I do talks, I always take a second to explain to everybody listening. I'm like, this is an NPN. This is what it does. This is how we have to go through the process to get an NPN here in Canada. This is why all supplements here that are in stores you can trust because they all have NPNs, right? So, can you kind of explain how it works, like how we go about? I know how we go about getting an NPN, but how we go about getting an NPN and why, and maybe how this kind of came into play. This NPN.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. And I think there's a lot of, especially in today's, online world, the world shops online. The world is advertising online. So we're fed a lot of content, especially from, other countries as well that don't have the same regulatory processes and systems in place as we do. So it's always good to kind of try and shine a light on what ours is. So speaking for Canada right now, Canada's natural health product industry. So natural health products in Canada, as the States, they're known as dietary supplements, and that's pretty self-explanatory. They're, you could say a subset of foods because they are the dietary supplements. You're speaking about mostly your vitamins and your minerals, like stuff you could find in food. You've now got it in a tablet form and you're consuming that. That's simplicity to explain that one. In Canada, it's a much broader umbrella. Our natural health product system to begin with includes, traditional medicines and homeopathic. So that's different from a lot of other countries in the world when we include those things as, your natural health products and your natural therapies. And then there's, everything that could be in between. To get an NPN number in Canada, so it's a license number. It's not a registration number. It's a full-on license that has been granted to you by Health Canada, so by our main regulatory body, to be able to sell your product in Canada. And what that license does is it approves your product for sale. So in order to get that, depending on what product you're putting through, you have to present information to Health Canada. There's a long checklist. The more complex your products, the more novel your products, the longer that checklist gets. It can take up to over 250 days to get your NPN number. It's not quick. It is thorough. It is reviewed. Science, why are you putting this ingredient in? Provide the science on that. Do your homework on your formula. All of that has to be presented. Health Canada will look at it. They'll come back to you with a very long list of questions as well, as you know. But when you get that NPN number, it is a sign of quality in Canada. I will say that. I think if ever anyone is shopping and you have the opportunity to buy a product online that does not have an NPN number, find that product in Canada with an NPN number, buy the one with your NPN number. And I say this to friends in the States who also shop over the border here. We share a huge border with the States. If your product has an NPN number, it's been approved by Health Canada. It means that you can trust what the product says it is doing, it will do. Now, everybody reacts differently to stuff. I can eat a hamburger, run a marathon. Someone else can eat a hamburger and be keeled over, but everything affects people differently. But the science of what that product says it will do has been validated by Health Canada. So it's a very rigorous product, but it gives a lot of confidence in the products. And it's a system that we take a lot of pride in. You're in the industry, you can say that, probably better than I do, but we have a lot of pride in that. So, and then it goes, the whole program itself oversees, the site inspections, the monitoring. There's a marketing department that oversees the claims and the marketing that's put out, of course, the inspections, on-site inspections, site license renewals, all of that stuff falls under the NHP program, but the NPN number is the big one that people know of.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things I kind of talked a bit about in my story yesterday and kind of what you just touched on is if you're buying stuff online and with Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, and you're buying something from the States, I beg of people, I'm like, support Canada. I mean, the Americans definitely, they have their Support America, Buy America whole program. They really push that. And I think in Canada, we tend to be a little bit like, it's okay. We tend to be, it's all good. We'll just buy, and I think we really have to look at where we're buying our products. right? If you're buying something from the States, go into your local health food store and see if there's an equivalent product there, because I guarantee it is. And it's not going to have proprietary blend where it just has all the ingredients and then a final kind of mix. You have no idea which order it comes in. And that's the beauty, I think, of our products, and why I think we're one of the highest regarded supplement industries in the world, is because every one of those ingredients that you're getting is going to be in that product, in that dosage, with those claims that we can say. So I think it's such a big thing that people really need to understand, and to support Canada, like to support our stores here, our vendors here, all the people who are, working for me to help make sure these products get made, the manufacturers, all of that contributes to our whole as a country as well.
Yeah, I think it like support our economy. We paid taxes on these products in Canada, right? So that's it, like support our economy. We need it right now. We all need it right now.
I know.
But I think you bring up a good point. And like I've worked with the American model for 14 years of my adult life. I have an appreciation for what their model looks like. And we only point to the US, not to pick on them, but it's the largest border. They're so close. We can all drive there and go shopping at a Whole Foods in the States. And I love Whole Foods in the States, but it's a different world. And I think, the US model is very much supportive of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, right? This is the American dream. Find a product, be your own boss, put a product on a shelf, sell a product to people, make it rich. Like, it supports entrepreneurism. And I love that about the US model. When you look to your own health, what you are putting in and on your own body, and I say on because NHPs include such things as natural sunscreen and deodorants. So it's not only like a supplement. But when you look to Canada, if this is for you, this is for your family, your children, you're supporting a science-based product, a product that was formulated, and the information had to be provided, that it says what it says for a reason, that's what it's going to do. And the ingredients that are in the bottle are the ingredients that are in the bottle. To your point, they can't all be, this isn't perfume. You can't loop everything under one, broad sweep. So it really is making the best decision for your own health. If that's why you're taking these, it's to improve your health, then go with what you can trust 100%. Is going to support that in the best way the industry worldwide has found to support it. Is it perfect? No. Is it falling apart right now? 100%. It's keeping me employed. But we can get into that. But definitely look, it's a quality. It's a number of I say it's a stamp of approved quality. And I think that's what we all want in today's world, is to know that what we're buying, what we're putting our money into, is actually, the best that we can afford. So go with an NPN number always.
100%. And so what are the current changes Health Canada is trying to pass? And when did this kind of start? I think we knew this was coming for a while. So this has been kind of percolating for a while. And how is this going to impact Canadians? Can you kind of divulge into that?
Yeah, I can. I'll try and simplify it. And if I go too far into my, regulatory brain, pull me back. But it's been a week of MP meetings and political talk. So I'm happy to have a girl-to-girl conversation. But if I get out there, pull me back in. They're making substantial changes. And I think what most people are perhaps unaware of, it's just a lack of awareness, perhaps outside the industry. It's not easy to change laws.
Yeah.
It's not easy to change regulations. Those are a process. And in Canada, in our democratic process, in our government, which I just love, I love everything about Canada. I'm a fan of the maple leaf. It's the cutest thing in the world. And our, regulatory processes are made to be complex. And our legislative processes are made to be very complex. And those things take a lot of time to change because they need to be scrutinized. Impacts need to be evaluated. Analysis needs to be done. People need to be engaged with. And what's happening in Canada right now, what's happening with Health Canada is they're forcing through a lot of changes without following the due process of what steps these processes should be forced to go through to receive the proper scrutiny before they are made into law. It's pushing through something through a department without going through elected officials and without going through our Senate. and without following the proper cabinet directive, which for us in Canada, Treasury Board oversees these things. They're pushing them through. So we have new label changes coming, and everyone can say, oh, they're just labels. Labels are very expensive.
Those are very
Okay.
expensive. They
If
don't
you
know.
don't have a friend in the label industry, make one, because they are very hardworking people. They are absolutely just, at their wits' end with everything, because of there's a lot of happenings in the world. We all know the supply chain issues that continue to be blamed on COVID. But labels are an expensive undertaking. And our labels in Canada for NHPs, there is very clear direction on what needs to be on your label. You know this. We have 2 official languages in these countries. So there's a whole bilingual aspect that takes up real estate on a label. There's a lot of information required to be on the label. When you're speaking about NHPs, you're looking to cautionary information. You're looking to, if there's information that someone with a specific concern, pregnant women are always, told to consult, all that stuff. So there's requirements on a label. They're changing the labels to add even more requirements. How big can a label get?
Exactly.
Right. So it's like it's pushing through changes without doing the proper analysis, number one, of what we call like that human interaction. There's a science to that, how people react with a label and read a label. So again, it's pushing through something because they want more information on the label without looking at the proper analysis of what are people actually reading? What is a requirement? How can we use modern technologies to put the little bit less important information on some sort of like code so that people can scale it without undergoing this? It's not only a cost that's going to come back to the consumer, but there's an environmental disaster waiting to happen when we at the amount of packaging that things require. So we have labels.
Quick note, with the peel back labels that most of us are going to have, unless you peel that label completely off when you put it into recycling, the bottle is non-recyclable, correct?
It's not going in your bin. Exactly.
Yes,
So the adhesive glue, so to make sense of that, whenever you have something with a peel back, it's great. If you can scroll, we're going back to ancient times here, Erin. You're scrolling to read your ingredients. It's amazing. It's so great. The adhesive that's required to have something stick on stick, stick on stick, stick on stick, it makes the whole thing non-recyclable. So whether it be glass or whether it be plastic or whether it be some amazing compostable new bottle, if you put a peel back on it, that's going in the trash. So we're looking at, a government that at the same time is putting through in Canada, very strict sustainability laws, right? We all went through the single-use plastic and you couldn't find a straw anywhere in the country, and your forks are now made of cardboard.
Hate those paper straws. You're like drinking your Starbucks drink and it's just like this. I went to the States and they had plastic straws. I'm like, I took like 20 of them. I'm like, oh my God, these are gold down at Starbucks. I'm like, how crazy all the plastic straws with the paper?
But it's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy at its finest, because you're talking about an industry, natural health products. We love the nature part of everything. We all came to this industry because it's natural. It's not chemical. It's not. Yeah. And yet here we are. We're about to be like the biggest polluters of the year next year. So insane. It sounds simple and it sounds so silly to be nitpicking on label changes. People are like, Jules, get over it. No, I'm not, because it's useless. It's a useless change being pushed through. It is going to have dire consequences on many different levels. After the labeling, we had they redefined. So in a budget, so everyone knows what a budget is, whether you're good at budgeting or not. I'm horrible at it, but countries have a budget, okay? And those are really big budgets, and the budget's supposed to be about money. Yeah. They snuck in a redefinition of natural health products in the Food and Drugs Act. So in the States, the FDA is a department. Here in Canada, the FDA is the Food and Drugs Act. It is law. They redefined natural health products within that act to put us under a very, very strict, very, very powerful law that was created for pharmaceutical and chemical drugs. So we have that to deal with. And then we had a cost recovery proposal number 1. So cost recovery is literally, it happens everywhere. It's you pay to get a service. So you need a driver's license, you pay money, you get your driver's license. You need a passport, you pay money, you get your driver's license. It's a pretty, again, it's a simple thing. And here I am blowing it up and making
Oh, but
a
this is
little
the big
thing.
thing. The
This
cost to
is huge.
come in, this is a big thing.
It is the most expensive change
Yeah.
to the program in the history of Canada, and they are forcing it through at the expense of
Yeah.
industry, entrepreneurs like you who are in this industry to help people with their health, help them live their best life, help them feel great every day. The cost burden to you, to other folks in the industry, to everyone who wants to be compliant. You want your NPN number to be compliant and to have that, that seal, that check mark of quality and low risk, and say, well, now you're going to pay a lot of money for it. So it's a really tight position to be in. We have reminded the government over and over again that unlike pharmaceutical drugs, which they keep wanting to compare us to, it's
The money,
apples and oranges. It's
the
like not
money's
even
not the
apples and
same.
oranges. It's like fruit and vegetables. Like
Yeah.
we're not even talking in the same, we're not even talking about the same thing here. Um, People pay taxes. There's sales taxes when you buy an NHP. A person who walks into a store and chooses to get their vitamin D through natural source, just as an example, instead of a prescription vitamin D, they are choosing to pay more.
Yeah.
These are not covered by your beautiful company's health plan. These are not subsidized by provincial healthcare, because we have healthcare in Canada.
Yeah.
Who knew? We choose to pay more already because on top of it, we're going to pay taxes. And depending on the province you live in, those could be high taxes. So a big portion of that money goes already to the federal government. They're getting money. They want to be cost recovered. They want money from people. So I'm simplifying it for the sake of your listeners, but it is going to increase prices. Experts are telling us anywhere from 15 to 35, 38% on every single NHP in Canada. And then we're looking at losing 2 to 3 out of 5 products will just have to disappear. I mean, you can talk to this probably better than I can because I've never had a product for sale. But when you have a product line, you're going to have your big,
Yeah.
your
Your
big,
stars, your
and your
superstars.
little, yeah,
The
and the
little
little
ones are
ones
kind
that
of
you
holding
keep on
on. Yeah.
because Aunt Jane's really love this
Yeah.
product, and if you take it away, you're going to lose a customer base. It's not your money maker, but it serves its purpose within the line. It brings people to discover the rest of the products. Like we all have, it's a shrimp cocktail on a restaurant menu. If anyone's ever worked in the food industry, that's what the shrimp cocktail is. It's to get you to buy more food. So it's like those products you're going to take a loss on those now. So you're just going to pull them.
Yeah.
So it's really, really, really going to take what should be a thriving industry, especially in the last years. It's people want NHPs. People want to have the choice of what to do and what to take, and they want to feel good. We all want to feel good, and it's going to take what should be a thriving industry, and it's going to set it back.
Yeah.
Like years and years in terms of being able to compete with our neighbor to the south, in terms of being able to sustain people's health within one product line.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing for people to realize. When you go into a store and you have 15 options of a vitamin, the reason you have those options because there's no intellectual property protection here.
Yeah.
These things cannot be,
Trademark.
you can't, yeah, they
But you
can't
can
be
trademark them. Sorry, you can't. So we're
There's
looking.
no IP protection,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Formulation.
Yeah. The formulation. I can look at somebody's formula and take it, even tinker it a bit and launch
Yeah.
it. It's really what
You
I
make it better if you want,
That's
but
what
you
I
can
do with my stuff. I look, I'm like, that's good. Let's make it better. Right. So.
but that's it. That's how this industry works, right? So that's why but when you find a brand that you love, when you find a brand that sits well within your body and makes you feel good, you're going to try the other products from that brand. And when the brands have to cut down, we're going to lose. We're going to lose clientele. And going back to our original, topic, when Canadians have less option with an NPN number, they will have no choice but to shop online. And then it's the Wild West because anybody,
Don't know what you can anyways. So
what are you going to do?
Point of Health Canada putting this through is to protect Canadians. But then when I can go and shop and order stuff up from the States, you're not protecting Canadians anyways. right? At the end of the
Oh,
day, right? At all. So this is, again, it's almost the same as this label conversation. It just doesn't make sense. It's like, this doesn't make sense. If it made sense, and I'm all for regulation, everybody who I know who's in our industry, I want it. I want to have my NPN. I want to show that there is quality, and I have all the, the licenses, I have everything to show that I can say what I can say. But to penalize us to have that, and then to be able to have people just order up, and especially innovation is going to be killed, because if you're going to be paying to have an NPN, so now all of a sudden we're putting costs into, paying the Health Canada to get an NPN, because right now, currently, you don't have to pay. Right now, you pay your NPN company who would file that for you if you have one. But once you start paying that, then if you have a cool product you want to launch and you're not sure if it's going to hit the market very well, so you launch it, and then all of a sudden maybe it doesn't, it's like, it didn't really, it falls short, you lose all that money. That's the other thing as well too, right? Because
and
there's
time,
right?
and time, because
Yeah.
I think, I'm in my talks with, MPs and to explain it using Canadian companies are going to pay for Prime,
Yeah.
but you don't know when you're getting. It's like I'm going to pay a high fee to get this service, but
Yeah.
the timeline it's not showing, your license is not appearing in your inbox tomorrow.
No, and even
If
if it's yeah,
the delays are huge. So you're paying money. Nothing is guaranteed. By
yeah,
paying, you're not promising they're going to approve it. They can
yeah,
reject it and be
no,
like, this isn't happening, but here's your invoice.
yeah.
But on top of that, if it's an innovative product, which we all need because the science behind NHPs is moving so fast, women are finally being
I
included in,
know, right?
like, hello, we're at a dream moment in time for women who want to take care of themselves,
Yeah.
and the more complex or the more novel your formulation, the more expensive it is, and the longer you have to wait. Well, when you're sitting on a product and you can't sell it because you can't sell without an NPN in Canada, that's non-compliance, that's other problems. So you're sitting on a product for 210, 250 days, not making any money on it, just waiting to see if you get approved before you can put it on a shelf. It's not a good way of building policy. It is sloppy policy making. Up
And
here in Canada, it's not the right move for them.
well, and then not to mention, getting a quote from your manufacturer 250 days before, those quotes change. I've had, I've put quotes in, I've waited a year for an NPN, gotten my NPN, and my quote's gone up $1. Right. So then I've lost the ability for that margin. So then I have to price it differently. So all of these things really, really add to effect as well.
It's changing policy without taking into account the many moving parts, because
Yeah.
based on what you just said, I could go back to my, silly label argument. Okay, well, today this is your formulation, this is your brand, this is what your label should look like. You can't print any of those labels because your label has to have your NPN number.
Yeah.
You're waiting 200 days to get your NPN number, so everything is set.
Everything
And
just
then when you go and print, well, guess what? The bottles have gone up, the labels have gone up, everything has changed. Now there's a delay because somebody else has a big thing that's going through. Like,
yeah.
it's not taking into account the many moving parts. And when you put them together and you do take them into account, the sum of it all is disastrous.
100%.
Disastrous for Canadians, disastrous for Canadian companies in the industry, and really disastrous for anyone who's looking at the industry, I think, and being like, I want to be a part of that.
100%.
What a cool industry to be a part of. Like,
I have this girl who's reached out to me, and she's a student, and they want to start a supplement brand. They want a little bit of mentorship. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know if if this was 5 years ago, I might have been like, maybe real estate, maybe I should just, at this moment, I'm like, I've always wanted to do my own brand. And I was like, if I don't do it, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I've got to take the jump. I've got to go for this, right? I love my industry. I want to do this. But there was a moment my family's like, Erin, you'd be good at real estate. And now sometimes I'm like, it probably would have been, you think about
I wonder if,
maybe, right. But because it's not, I don't know if you're going to enter this industry, I'd be waiting until I find out what is actually going to happen, because it's going to drastically reduce the amount of women getting involved. I mean, when I really look across the board, I think I'm pretty sure I'm the only female, 100% female owned, 100% female focused, like all of it brand in Canada. There's not many. I don't think there's anybody that's 100% female focused, female owned. And there's no, and other women who are in our industry, I mean, I think there's like a handful, like maybe there's 10 women that 100% own the company, or five, like, but there's not many. There's not a many women that 100% own supplement companies. And this is going to impede women from coming into our industry and taking the risk and creating entrepreneurship and creating new businesses and wonderful new ideas, right? And I'm talking more supplements instead of food. So, I mean, deodorants and skincare, that's to be a different category. At least I look at it as a little bit of a different
Oh
category.
yeah, skincare is.
Yeah, but supplements, there's really not many women that own companies in Canada.
There's Women's in Nutraceuticals put out a research paper last year, I want to believe, and 50% of companies have a woman in, as a CEO similar role. That was an amazing thing to read, because that's a high stat for, it's not high enough, but it's a good stat. But when you look at, to your point, woman focused 100%, there's few, but I think there's so much potential for more, because science is finally starting to realize that half of the world's population happens to be women, and women are the caretakers of the majority of the families. And, in Stats Canada itself, over 80% of NHP users, consumers, are women. So there is a massive opportunity where women are seeing that this product worked for me, or I need to help women, exactly what you're doing. And, like, bow down, I honor everything that you're doing, because you see, we have women hitting perimenopause and doctors aren't helpful. Yeah. And how can you be helpful? And you're following the science, you're up to date on everything. And that's what you've dedicated your life to. And I think there's so much potential in space for women to do that in natural health products. Yeah. But yet you have a Health Canada that wants us to go back to, I don't know, like, years ago, when it was like impossible to be a woman entrepreneur. If we look at the direct selling side, in Canada, over 84% of all direct sellers are women. Mm-hmm. Love or hate the industry, those are women who are making an additional income, be it big or be it small, for them, or they're just gaining entrepreneur skills, or they're just putting themselves out there into the world because they need community in their life, and this is where they found that's a beautiful thing. So you have 84% of those women whose businesses are going to be taken away from them. I don't care if they never made a dime off of it, they belong to something. Right? 100%. Like, that is huge in a person's life. You're going to take that away. Women like you who are following science and being like, I can make a difference here because this interests me. What opportunities, what hope and potential is Health Canada giving them right now? They didn't do a gender-based analysis. No, that was a huge mistake.
Well, and I think the big thing too, and all my, when I'm in my retailers and talking to them, part of the whole conversation I really try to have is, yes, I'm selling supplements, but at the end of the day, when I'm doing my seminars, it's, women, you need to lift weights 3 times a week. I'm telling you, the best thing you will ever do. And I say this, even if I'm selling supplements, I'm really honest about it. But if you don't even buy one supplement tonight, if you will do me the favor, go buy a membership at a gym. You're not going to work out at home. That's why your Peloton becomes a clothes hanger. I don't work out at home, and I've been working out since I was 16. It's hard to work out at home. Go join a gym. Take that time for self-care. Leave your house, put your earbuds in, and lift some weights. If you don't know how to lift weights, go buy 3 training sessions. Understand the gym, get to know it, and use those 3 personal training sessions, write down the exercises, use those for 3 months, and then rebuy it. And I'm like, I guarantee you, when you are 70 years old and you look back, if you started tonight, you'll be like that girl at Nature's Fair, because I was there this past week. I went and listened to her and I started working out, and that changed my life. That will be the biggest thing you take away tonight. So I'm not necessarily, and even with my customers, when I talk to them, they're talking to them about health and wellness, lifting weights, working out. It's not just about selling a vitamin. We really are trying to, especially in the women category, because that's what I'm in, is to educate women to take care of themselves. It's such an important time, especially 40s. I mean, you're younger as well, but 40s, this is game time. If you don't start taking care of your health right now, 70 is going to be really, really hard. It's
going to be really hard. And I think, you
And
know, I
that
love
impacts our health system anyway. So we're here trying to support
here.
and
We're
educate.
here trying to
Just
keep
like buy
people out of
supplements. That's
hospital.
not the deal. Even my stores are like, hey,
Yeah.
you need to eat more protein. You need to have more cruciferous vegetables. You need to move your body. They're talking to customers in that extent as well. And that in turn is going to save our health system way down the road. And we're not dealing with people with have disease, chronic disease illness, and have no autonomy and have to rely on, nurses to come in and take care of them. It all adds up, right?
It all adds up, and it's all going to have a huge impact. And I love what you're doing with women. You know, I've lifted since I was 17 years old.
Yep.
And I'm lucky now I can take some breaks from it and go run around and ride my bike like a mad woman and come back to it in November, because I've been doing it for so long that it's there, but like it's longevity.
Yes.
It's like
vitality, feeling
it's
good.
waking up in the morning and being strong enough, and I will lift my own grocery bags out of that car. It's like,
I'll be an 80-year-old strong little grandma. I'm not going to be, you see some and they're just like this, because you lose muscle tissue.
You lose it. I always say I'm feminist, but chivalry also should be encouraged. I love have a door open for me.
Yeah.
But the day it's slammed in my face, I want to be strong enough to open it myself.
Love that.
And I have spent my life opening my doors by myself. So it's go lift the weights. But you know what? This is going to impact, you brought it up, protein.
Yes.
Like women, can we get away from this tiny, like
41% of women do not have enough protein. And that's
protein powder. Protein
powder. And every single night when I do my talks, they're walking out with protein powder every single night. And I don't even sell protein powder.
It's an NHP Canada.
Yes, and they buy creatine, and creatine helps with muscle tissue. So all of these things, vitamin D, I don't have a vitamin, all the stuff I'm talking about, a lot of it's not me selling my product. It's me saying to women, these are the things you need to be doing.
Yeah.
If you want to have a great health and wellness. And, it just really, really upsets me when I think about the fact that this is going to be something that's going to really backpedal and really, really impact women.
It's going to impact women in a big way. And what you're saying is literally that community that I was pointing to, like where we find a place where we can belong is a place that we get confidence from.
Yeah.
And there is nothing that can stop a confident woman.
Yeah.
And to have that confidence, like 100%. And to have that confidence, we need to feel like we're making a difference. We need to feel like we belong. We need to feel like we're special, because we all are special. But we also need to feel good in our bodies. We need to be able to step into the world and know that we're bringing our best self forward. Even on the days I'm having a bad day, I want my best self on that day to be what I give this world. And NHPs play a big role in that. And like it's, and women take creatine. Stop with this being afraid of creatine. Just take it. But it comes from community, and it comes from empowerment. And to have, so for people who don't understand where I'm going with this, there is a mandate from Treasury Board. It's called the Cabinet Directive on Regulation. There is a process that is set out on how to build good regulations in this country. And this is a country that has a history, thankfully, of supporting women, of supporting marginalized communities. We love everybody. That is the basis of Canadian culture. When you have a department like Health Canada who bypasses the cabinet directive, part of that is a gender-based analysis.
Yeah. And they didn't do that.
The impacts to women have to be considered when any regulation is made or when any law is changed or created in this country. How does it impact marginalized communities? How does it impact Indigenous peoples? And how does it impact women? We have been impacted and not thought of for all of history. And we have a government here in Canada that says enough. We will take women into consideration, and we will think of how things impact them. And Health Canada, in the sneaky ways that it is pushing everything through, completely avoided doing a gender-based analysis. And I will die on this hill, because it is incomprehensible today in 2024 in this massive, big, beautiful country that we live in, that a segment of industry and culture when you're speaking about NHPs that is known to be, turned to and appreciated majorly by women. Every MP we have spoken to, except a few, has literally said, I take NHPs, my wife buys them for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, this is how we care for ourselves. This is how we care for others. And think of all the women who are caretaking for their senior parents now.
Me.
Like, NHPs play a big role in that. It is
They
6
do.
months
I have
a
him
year,
on a lot of vitamins.
right? And to not take that into consideration, the health impacts, the impacts to how we're going to care for others, to me, it's a disgrace. It's a shame and it's a disgrace. And somebody has to come in and stop them. And you would think it's the Minister of Health,
Yeah,
who would say, not under my watch.
yeah.
Like, this is not going to happen. Go back. If you need these regulations, fine.
Yeah.
But let's put them through proper process. Yep. Let's do our due diligence. Let's do our homework. Let's speak to the women of this country and understand the impacts to them and to their health and to their businesses and to their communities. Let's do our homework before we cause a damage that is going to be very, very hard to undo later. Yeah. And that's what we're asking. It's like, somebody fight for us here, because we've been left out of this conversation. Yeah. And that's not inappropriate. Yeah.
So I want to just touch quickly on, we did have a win this past week with MP Coughlin's. Yay! In the House of Commons. Can you explain the Bill C-368 and what that what that means? So what he's gone in and basically said, let's pause for a second. And this is a bill he wants to put forward, correct? Is that?
Yeah, he put the bill forward. So to go back, I think I mentioned that in last year's budget, Health Canada had put in through a non-budgetary item. It was a bill. It was hidden an annex in the bottom of all the math that bills have to do in a budget. They had, this complex, obviously, but at the end of the day, what that did is it redefined health products under Vanessa's law. So it opened up the Food and Drug Act to redefine. So therapeutic products before was your medical devices and obviously your chemical drugs, if we simplify it there. They put NHPs under that definition in order to ensure that what is known as the Protecting Canadians from Unsafe Drugs Act, so another law, Vanessa's law, as it's referred to, would include NHPs. So, it was snuck in. MPs who have to vote the budget through did not know it was there. Yeah. We found out, we testified at Senate to try and have it undone, but the budget got voted through. We still have the government that we have. That's what happens when a budget gets pushed through. So what Blaine Calkins did is said, that's inappropriate. This is a non-budgetary item. 100%. This was hidden budget. He is a conservative MP. We are under a liberal government right now. So he said, this is wrong. And every member of parliament gets 2 times that they can raise their hand and say, I want to present a bill. I want to present a motion for my colleagues to debate and discuss and vote on to see if this should go through. And he used one of his very kindly after we spoke to him last November, said, I can help here. Man. And he put through what's known as a private member's bill. So it's a bill to basically undo the bill that was hidden in the budget. Yeah. And it was Bill 368. It went through, so it has to go through 2 hours. He reads the bill. It's a process. He reads the bill in the House, so to the other MPs, and then it goes through an hour of debate where MPs can debate on it, and then it goes through a second hour of debate, and then it goes through a vote. So we had our second hour of debate last week, and it went through vote on Wednesday, and it's his bill. I'm not taking any credit from him, but industry and every single Canadian who has spoken up and raised their hand and sent a postcard has the support of the entire Liberal Party, the entire Bloc Québécois Party. On vous aime, merci beaucoup. And the NDP party as well as Green.
Conservatives, not liberal, conservatives.
Sorry, conservatives.
So it's like the liberals aren't supporting this one, I don't think.
Liberals did not support.
Yeah, they're not supporting it at all. It's crazy.
Because every opposition did vote for it. We did get a majority on that vote. So liberals not happy with us.
Yeah.
But it's a win. It's a process to actually have that done. However, it's a first step in essentially what this does now is that entire bill, so that entire law redefining and what it means to be under Vanessa's law, because there's different components and regulations and everything that's involved with Vanessa's law, that sends it to health committee. So the committees are there to do research, to investigate, to bring in people to testify, to analyze, to overanalyze. They overthink these things so that the proper conclusion can be raised. And then that goes into the Senate, which is in Canada, they call it the sober second opinion. And then the Senate takes so it's a step. It's going to be a while. This is not a quick process. However,
pause, right? So if we pause the fact they're putting this through right away or no?
Well, it's already through. It was done last year with the budget. But what we do have now is a liberal government, a minister of health who can stop everything else, looking at every single other opposition member of parliament who have very clearly said they don't agree with anything that's happening here.
Yeah.
So he needs to take pause.
Yeah, 100%.
This is not a liberal versus, I just want to make this clear. This is not a liberal versus conservative, because political beliefs run very deep in our country, just like every other country. So I just really want to be clear and have a huge amount of empathy and compassion for anyone who might be triggered right now, because again, political views normally run deep for anyone who follows politics, which I hope every woman in our country does. Exercise your right to vote, ladies.
Actually, I would say quickly on this note, there is a woman who started an amazing company called Beyond a Ballot. And so, yeah, so she's incredible. So if you go
amazing
women all the time, and there's newsletters, and she educates women on politics. So I just wanted to say
everyone sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
Rock the vote, ladies. Yeah. Rock the vote. But regardless of how you vote and what your views are, it's not a liberal versus conservative argument. What happens is that when you are lobbying, when you are trying to reverse law, or when you are trying to stop law from going through, that becomes a political conversation, because the only people who can really stop that are our elected officials. That is why they are elected. And when it comes to the changes on natural health products right now, the support has come through in the opposition parties, mainly Bloc Québécois and the Conservative Party. Now, we hear less about the Bloc, of course, because unless you're following me, I'm the spokesperson for Quebec. I live here. I speak French. But unless you're following me, you're not getting a lot of Bloc conversation, because that's very Quebec-based, obviously. People in BC don't really care what the Bloc's doing. But when it comes to, the official, the OLO, the official opposition, I mean, this is, they are supportive 100%. Yeah. The Conservative Party has come out and said, we're not saying that everything that's happening is wrong, but what we're saying is it should go through due process.
100%, yeah.
It should follow the processes. It should go to committee to be debated. What they're saying is that natural health products are important, and what they do uphold and what they are supporting is all of our freedom of choice.
Yeah.
To say that we should have the choice to choose natural alternative if that's what we want to do in our health journey. And they're saying that the Canadian economy is important. And we're talking about 54,000 jobs. And if you follow Canadian politics, the Conservative Party has always had a strong economic platform. And this is a question of economics for them, because of the fact that we pay taxes on these products, because of the fact that so many Canadian companies are going to shut down, are going to be forced into bankruptcy, or are going to be forced to go and take up shop over the border.
Yeah.
So it's not I just want to be clear. It's not a question of, NHP versus the Liberal Party. However, the overwhelming support is coming from opposition in the Bloc and in the Conservative Party. And we have a very silent minister right now. Yeah. We have a minister of health who's not addressing the issue, who's not speaking with people. I'm sure you've asked him for a meeting. I don't think he's picked up the phone to call you. Like, you should have a voice. You're a major player right now. So it that's where we're standing on that. So the bill did get voted through by every member of every opposition, which is a good thing. It will go back to committee probably fall, winter. And then it's up to committee to evaluate, call in people to testify, do their due diligence and decide, is Vanessa's law appropriate for NHPs, or is it too much power and we need to maybe rail in, the powers that Health Canada is looking for. And we will honor whatever decision committee comes with, because that's where it will be reviewed properly.
Yeah, exactly. And what would be kind of, you think, the dream, I guess, to a certain extent, would be if you guys could have for CHFA for all NHP, what do you guys think would be the best solution? I mean, obviously we have to pay something regulatory. I understand that.
I don't think anyone, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I don't represent everyone. There are a lot of people who don't want to pay anything. And I get that. I do get that. I think what we do need is an overhaul of the system. It's like, I have no problem paying Prime because it shows up the next day. I pay for Netflix because I get the best shows and I can sit down and watch.
I'm fine with paying for MPNs. I'm fine with that. As long as the price is fair.
As long as the price is fair. It's not discriminatory. As long as the due diligence is done.
Yes.
Follow the cabinet directive. The cabinet directive talks about, gender-based analysis, speaking to Indigenous, but it also is a question of competitiveness, because you have to respect the economy.
Yeah.
Nothing should be detrimental to the Canadian economy. It shouldn't be up to brands like you begging people to buy what is made in Canada.
Yeah.
We need the government to support that. So it's let's have regulations that are built following the processes that our democracy has told them they should. And then when we have those studies done, when we have a proper analysis done on the economy and everything, let's sit back and say, like, okay, there are major operational issues within the department right now. You shouldn't have to wait over 200 days to get an MPN number.
Especially
when it takes them
like a vitamin
9 hours. It takes them 9 hours to look at your file, but it takes over there's operational issues. Fix the issues, and then by the time your issues have a solution, you'll have done your analysis, you'll have done your homework. Then we can be like, okay, what is fair and just? We understand that the department needs money. We understand that there's a pay-to-play system here in Canada.
Totally get that.
But make it fair.
Yeah.
Make it fair.
I agree.
I don't think anybody could be against that. But what we are against is forcing through regulations that have broad sweeping impacts and give a department broad sweeping powers without any justification or reasoning behind it, other than the department needs money.
Yeah, no,
because we all need more money. I mean,
we all do.
I'll take some. Like what?
Exactly. No kidding. No kidding.
But we don't get to just start charging people.
No.
Like it doesn't work like that. It's not a lottery ticket. So
I agree with you 100%. Well, I also wanted to say, thank you so much for all that you are doing for women in Canada as well. I mean, I know you're out there pounding the pavement and championing for not only women like myself who own brands, but also every woman who has the right to take an NHP. So I wanted to say how much I appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the CHFA. I know how tirelessly you guys are working. And I'm always telling people that when I do my talk, I talk about everything that's kind of happening. And also just say, our industry is, CHFA has gone relentlessly trying to support us. So I appreciate all of you so much.
Thank you. So, yeah, no, it's been amazing. And I'm honored for the opportunity. I mean, I came to CHFA. I was in a global company, global, I guess I'm translating, international company before, and had a global position and was overseeing many different countries. And, I something in me was like, you just focus on home.
Yeah.
Home is where the heart is. This is where your heart is. Can you just spend any amount of your time trying to help people here at home, because people here at home need help. And I need the community that is the Canadian NHP industry, because that's my home. And, I came here to do that. And the fact that we're able to make a difference and move the needle, it's been a whirlwind, but Canadians have been so supportive. I mean, over 1 million postcards.
Crazy. The largest grassroots organization, I think, ever, right?
Largest. We've been told in the past 22 years. and the MPs have told us that this has been the topic that they have got the most phone calls about has been this topic. And I think that just goes to show it's not me doing a great job. It's Canadians who have heard and said, wait a minute, I care about being able to access these products. These products are useful in my life. And I think that's the beautiful thing. Probably any industry would say this, but I say this about NHPs. Most everybody has some story about a product that has changed their life. The women who left your talk the other day, you know, anybody who was there got education, got knowledge to better care for themselves, but really got that encouragement to be like, let's be strong together. Let's lift each other up. Like there's empowerment that comes from people who have had to make a choice, and that choice worked to better their life. And I think that's what this industry is. It's a bunch of extremely passionate people just trying to care for people by allowing them to care for themselves. And it's hard to fight against that because that's where heart lives.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I love that. Okay, so we're doing some ending questions. I want to do some personal ones, and then we're gonna
okay.
I think we could talk this all day long.
All day.
So what is one thing you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Keep it up.
Yeah, I love that.
I think we all as women, I think when we look back at our 20s, that was obviously a big year for anybody. In Canada, we celebrate 18. Well, in Quebec, because that's when you're allowed to drink. Yeah. I think it's probably 21 in other places.
19, yeah.
20 is a milestone for any woman in her life. It's also a time when we, I think, get to reflect on what does it mean for me to be a woman? I had this, 20 was bigger for me than 40. 40 like came and left, and I was like, okay, thanks. But 20 was huge because I stepped out of, perhaps being my mom's bud to being like my own woman. And I would tell myself to just keep it up because, I grew up being labeled, I hate the word today, but I was labeled the tomboy. Yeah. I was the different one. I call myself a nutrition geek on like nose in a book. Constantly, if I was outside, I was playing in the dirt. Like I was your typical at that time tomboy, and I hate that word today. But the Spice Girls came around when I was 19.
Sporty Spice kind of.
And Sporty Spice gave, I think whoever was around in the Spice Girls, love or hate their music. It's poppy, but we could all identify with one of them.
Yeah, so true. So true.
And Sporty Spice, and you've seen me in public. I'm still rocking track pants and running shoes and I'll put on a gala dress, but I'm thank you. I'm rocking my nights under it. And I think being at that age, I was very heavily involved in the gym. That was my community. It was the YMCA at the time. That's what we had. It was welcoming for women. The weight room at the YMCA was very inviting. I was, all those 20-year-old hormones running through my system, and I was strong, and Sporty Spice came around and gave me that sense of this. I can be a feminine, beautiful woman, despite the fact that I have this sporty look to me, despite the fact that I have traps, despite the fact that I've, and I think I would have told myself, just keep at it. Just keep being me. I think if we can help younger women just live their authentic self and allow that to give them confidence, they'll light up a room and they'll shine and they'll say what they need to say in life and they'll open their own damn door. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And I was lucky to have that at 20 years old.
I love that. What inspires you?
People.
Yeah.
People. Yeah. You've seen me in public. I'm actually a big introvert. Like it's death. Like I come home from 3 days in Ottawa and I could cocoon in my own bed and just cuddle my dog for days on end. I'm a massive introvert, as much as I always laugh, if you give me a microphone you might not get it back, but people. I go out into the world and I engage and I speak to so many people, and the stories, we all have a story. Everybody has a story, and that story is unique, and that story is special, and everybody just wants to be made to feel like they are special. And if I can walk through this world and every single day, make sure that the people that I am in contact with in any way, shape, or form know that they're special and know that they're important. I get inspired from that, from that story or that empowerment, and people empower me and people inspire me to keep going, because everybody just deserves to have someone who's got their back. And I just have the world's back. Like, I'm your biggest cheerleader.
Love that. And what is your favorite swear word?
It's actually a tough question, because in English, I use the F word quite a bit, but I actually swear in French more than I swear in English.
Really? So
Like English conversation, and like I'll launch like a tabarnak in the middle of it, just because it's swearing, but it might not offend anyone because they're gonna be.
What does that mean? What is Quebec? What does that mean?
It's kind of like your fuck, but in French. Like,
okay.
Like I can drop it and no one kind of knows what it means, because we grew up swearing. So I was in a household where, we grew up swearing. My sister and my dad used to be like, it's like having two truckers. And I'd be like, that's wrong to say about truckers. They're people too. But
that's fucking wrong.
Yeah. But how many fucking truckers do you know? But that was, my dad, he's 80, he's still hilarious. But yeah, he had my sister, and we're two girls. He had two girls, and neither one of them is the princess my mom would have wanted in that shape or form. But my dad was always like, but we just grew up swearing all the time. But then I spent a lot of my years as a younger adult overseas. But when I came back and moved back to Canada, I came here to Quebec, and I realized not everybody swears as much as we did in my house for some reason. So if I can launch it in French and people don't understand, then I feel like I didn't insult anybody, because my last, purpose, my last intention is ever to like insult anybody, because people get thrown off, and I don't. It just rolls off my tongue. So yeah, I'll try and swear in French when I can.
Okay. And so if anybody wants to find out where should they go to find out what's going on with Health Canada, with this regulatory conversation we had? Would it be CHFA? Is it .ca?
Yeah, you can go to a CHFA social media. CHFA is on Instagram, I think is a good one. For anyone's sanity, stay off X. Like, who wants to? You don't need that type of trolling in your life. But if you're on it, we post there too. But I always say Instagram is a good one. We have a lot of reels going on. So follow CHFA on Instagram. They're also on LinkedIn. And if you're on LinkedIn, check me out, Jules Gorham. I'm posting on LinkedIn. I get the notifications every week. Health Canada's been on my profile. Like, just like, let's connect already. Like, you don't have to spy on me. I've got nothing to hide.
But
you're not doing your job right.
So awkward. LinkedIn's so awkward, because it's like, you can't look at anybody, because they looked at you.
Yeah, it's so strange. I'm like, let's just strange. I don't know. Let's be friends in life. Like, what's the problem here?
But LinkedIn, where you can see people watching you. It's weird. I don't know why they have that. Like 25 people looked at your profile. What? I don't need to know. Just let them.
It's creepy, isn't it? Like,
don't tell me that. Creepy. Like, by who's looking at my profile?
It's supposed to be a professional platform, but like it has this like stalking.
Oh, exactly. Looking at you. What? I know. I've been at so many times. I've seen somebody. I want to look. I'm like, I'm not looking at their LinkedIn, because they're going to know that I've looked.
Me too. I'm the same way.
Right?
It'll tell me somebody look, but I won't click on them, because I'm like, I don't want them to feel what I'm feeling right now. It's intrusive.
I know. LinkedIn, get that together.
But you can. I'm on LinkedIn also, where I'm posting a lot of the stuff for anyone who wants to follow along. And but CHFA is the social medias. It's up there, and we're
doing the work.
More than grateful for the support. I mean, anyone listening, if you sent a postcard, they were all over retail establishments. They still are, but no idea how much of a difference that makes. Like, every single postcard is a person really exercising their right to a freedom of speech, in the sense where it's literally a voice landing and saying, stop this. Support me on my health journey. Support me in my life. Support me in how I care for myself. Stop this. Every single postcard has that message attached to it, and it's being heard loud and clear. Like, if those, I don't know what the postcard of the future looks like, but it's going to be yelling at people. And I think it's an amazing tool that we were able to give out thanks to members like you, because we couldn't do this without any of our members. It's teamwork. But yeah, no, thanks for everybody, and check us out and follow along. And you're a source of knowledge because you're the best. I always say you're the best whenever I call and need help. You're the first one who comes running to help me. I appreciate it so much.
I'm always here. So,
but the women's angle is so important, and there's more women need to speak up. I think about a lot of things, and there's a way to do that resonates and is heard. And look, we had, every single MP of opposition, even the independents who stood up and supported Canadians. So, if you're in a riding of any MP who is one of the opposition parties, thank them for their support. And if you're in a Liberal riding, that's okay. Just tell them that you want their support, and you can do that tactfully. And I think it's part of our freedoms here, and it's fun that Canadians are acting on that.
I agree with that too. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everybody who listened. Next month we'll have another Friends You Keep. You're going to have to tune in, but with that we will sign off. So thank you so much, Jules, for being here.
Thank you. You're the best.
Thank you. So are you.